Hello, everyone. On December the 10th, at the very, very small hours in London time, Venus will be exactly opposite Jupiter, which is not such a big deal, really, because Venus's orbit takes 8 months, Jupiter's orbit takes 12 years. It means that they meet every 8 months for sure, every 8, 9, 10 months. So for every year, you have a Venus-Jupiter opposition. What makes this very special is that that Jupiter is exactly on the degree of the October 28th lunar eclipse. Let's take a look at the chart itself for London. And in the meanwhile, while I'm trying to show you what I prepared for you, let's also delineate just the Jupiter-Venus aspects. What does Venus mean? Love, well-being, harmony, and also money. And Jupiter is expansion and optimism. And whenever you have a nice flowing aspect, like a conjunction or a trine or a sextile or any of the so-called cerebral aspects, the quintile series or the septile series, then you have an optimism in either creating money or harmony or both, which is a beautiful, brilliant aspect. But now they are in opposition. So actually what you see here is, on the one hand, there is Venus, money, and on the other hand, there's Jupiter, expansion, and they are kind of clashing. And as you can see, I showed you the October 28th lunar eclipse chart right here. I do have a video on this, so you can actually go back and watch it if you are interested. But this particular new lunar eclipse was the moon's position was on dark moon Lilith, and dark moon, of course, is the acceptance of the curse. And in the London chart, dark moon is quite close to the midheaven, not really too close, but still. And if you take a look at the London chart, the highlights, well, I have not circled the Aries North Node conjunction because finally they are separating, but we are going to look at one position at the very end of this video. Venus is in an applying conjunction with Pallas Athena, so money will be coupled with wisdom, hopefully, and oppose, saying Jupiter, which tries to enlarge and gorge everything. And then the moon, the Scorpio moon, is in an applying conjunction to the asteroid Lilith, revolt against injustice. And of course, the Scorpio moon is very deep inside. And the two strong feminine, Trans-Pluto, which is dimension jump and channeling, and Black Moon Lilith, which is the acceptance of what I need to do and how I can actually manifest it, stamina, endurance, also clairvoyance. That's what Black Moon Lilith, that's the third turning point of the Lilith myth. So those are also separating, now doubly separating, because Lilith can go only forward, and Trans-Pluto at the moment is retrograde. And the vertex, the point of no free will, is on Sedna. So that's the London chart, which makes, those are the highlights. And if you are studying astrology, then you probably are familiar with the fact that configurations are always very important, because they are much stronger than a single aspect. When they combine into something, it becomes much more relative and much more important. Did I say relative? Okay, much more relevant and important. Sorry about that. I'm a bit overworked and rushed. Again, what's new? Because actually, I'm recording this much earlier as I'm leaving for London quite soon, and I'm teaching over the weekend again, 16 hours, and then I'm flying, and there are a number of things that I need to cover. For instance, the 2024 forecast. I'm just putting together the slides, so I'm a little bit rushed. I apologize. So when you are looking at a chart, you are trying to find aspects, and of course, how they form into configurations. So this is what you do. It's that you see an aspect and you see that, yeah, it may turn into a configuration. Brilliant. Okay. And then you think you have it. No, you don't. You need to check the degrees. And it becomes immediately obvious that out of this wide configuration, two of the participants are really not there, because one is Vesta, which is only 2 degrees and 38 and retrograde, and the other one is trans Pluto, which is also retrograde. I forgot to put here the RX, but yeah, so that those degrees are simply out of orb, because any configuration only is forming when it has an orb, when the participating aspects are less than 2 degrees in orb. And when it's also, when the angles chipped in, then it's only 1.5 degrees. So it has to be very, very tight. So we need to leave these two out, and let's see what we have done. All of a sudden, then we have a kite with angel and an angel wing attached to one side of it. Kites are very useful structures because they simply make the little bit dull, little bit lazy energy of the ground trine move. They give it a push, because a ground trine has only one element. It's yeah, you're right that it is combining into a structure, and whenever we have that, it is much more prominent and it's more able to function than a single trine. That's true, and also that's a triple blessing. That's also true, but it doesn't, it's not moving really, because one element is not moving. Think about it. But when you have a kite, that missing element is going to push the whole configuration into something much more practical. Although I must say that this particular ground trine is made of earth element, and out of the 4 potential ground trines, the earth ground trine is the best, really. It's the easiest to understand and to manifest on the earth plane, since it's earth. Let's take a look at the that ground trine first. We have a Jupiter black moon trine. So there's hope and enthusiasm in completing a task, which is important. Then Mercury chips in and gives you understanding and also verbal structure to everything. And then the kite itself is formed by the Venus-Jupiter opposition. So the anchor point is Venus, love and money. And with the angel wing, you have Venus, Mercury sextile, and both make a semi-sextile to Ceres, which is at its apex. So Ceres, the nurturing principle, is coupled by Mercury, understanding and communication, and Venus, love, harmony, and money. And there's also a mutable earth engine within, when you take apart the 2 configurations, because there is a mutable square between Ceres and Black Moon, and a trine between the Jupiter, Ceres, and the quincunx between Ceres. This is a bidirectional quincunx, the Ceres Jupiter. Okay, and here are the transcendental celestial objects. On Venus, you have Radamantus. Radamantus is a ruler who is bringing peace and just laws, just ruling for after the Minotaur story to Crete. And he is so wise that Zeus makes him one of the judges of the underworld after his death. By the way, he is Zeus's son, because Zeus and Arope are creating Radamantus. On Jupiter, you have Gilgamesh, another strong figure, another peacemaking, peace-bringing figure. So maybe we should be hoping for peace. Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. I don't really trust this whole process, to tell you the truth. Anyhow, on the Black Moon, you have Hecate, Hestia, and Thuban. Hecate, of course, is the dark moon goddess. Hestia is is the same as Vesta, but the Greek counterpart. So it is functioning as a focusing principle, and also about ceremonies and rituals. And Thuban is Alpha Draco, which we're going to look at in a minute. And on Mercury, you have a number of celestial objects: Freya, Pan, and Zeus. Zeus, of course, is Jupiter. Pan is it means 2 things. It means panic, so total huge scare, but also everything, because Pan means like the manifestation of everything in one. And Freya, of course, is love and war goddess of the Norse mythology. You have two centaurs, TNOs. One is TNO, the other one is centaur. But as I mentioned many times, in karmic astrology, we use centaurs for any trans-Neptunian object. But Phorus is a true centaur. It represents the buck stops here, and also a generation that was 4 generations earlier. So you tap into something ancient. But also, if you look at the glyph of Phorus, it looks like a bacteriophage. And a bacteriophage, of course, is a virus. And so it was quite prominent during the pandemic. And Gwawar is one of my favorite creation TNOs, who creates out of nothing with his voice and his dance. So creation through dance and music. And then Phaseus, which is M22, the nebula in Sagittarius, in the face of Sagittarius, which we're again going to look at. And here's Phaseus. As you see, here I made you a drawing, and Phaseus is between the archer, actually the archer figure and the arrow and bow, and it represents the gaze of the archer. And you need to understand, by the way, it's a nebula, so it's not just one star, it's a nebula, so it's a cluster of stars. And 2,000 years ago, an archer was what I call the miracle weapon, or the not a mass destruction, but the miracle weapon of the time, because you could actually kill someone from 500 yards just by using your bow and arrow without being hurt, without the potential of being hurt. So archers were always the winners if you know, against infantry, so to speak. Okay, so that gaze that connects the intention of the archer with its bow and arrow and the target. That's what Phaseus is producing, or allowing us. So you can actually see things better. And then Thuban, again, I made you the drawing. These are the stars of Thuban, Draco, and Thuban is the Alpha star. And the whole constellation Draco is either creating or protecting a treasure. And if you take a look, the constellation itself, which is quite wide and big, is around the pole star. So that's what it is guarding, actually. So it's linked to such a creation. And what I wanted to show you, this is a Sedna Aries decile, which is already in Ob and will be in Ob all 2024. I have not checked further because I didn't have the time, but I will by the time I create the new year video. And I selected this moment because at the moment the nodal axis is still very tightly there in the picture. And with it, there's an interesting structure. It's a dissolved opposition in many sense. You have to understand that we don't use deciles and quintiles in forecasting, actually, because they are cerebral aspects. They are aspects that have no energy in them. They just provide different various types of ingeniousness and talent and professionalism. The decile is professionalism, that you can do something very professionally, and for the others to understand. And actually, it's a very useful aspect if you have deciles, but it's a minor aspect. It doesn't really do anything. But this is what's happening now. There is a tale which I'm not going to tell you in English now. We have wonderful folk tales, and if you live in a country that has folk tales, please tap into it, because those are the old, ancient knowledge repositories, really. And it is discussing something that I'm waiting for to happen. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But I think that this decile is the first hope that our crazy, horribly stupid world will be restored. When probably only by the time Neptune and Saturn move out of Pisces and conjoin at the very early degrees, 0 degrees Aries. That will be the turning point, and the craziness, the madness of crowds that you see everywhere, but especially in Western countries, is going to appease and going to change. There may be a big awakening in a negative sense, but think about it: witchcraft, witch hunts were also turned around, and they stopped after a while, after they burned, of course, a number of women at the stakes, but it eventually stopped. So the craziness that you see in Western countries hopefully will stop. The wars will never stop, of course. That's an illusion. There will always be wars. And again, I don't want to take the part of any of these raging wars. I don't care. I don't care who was right. I don't care if you believe that this or that war is unprovoked. It's never unprovoked, never. Otherwise, it would not actually flame up. And there's no excuse for killing children and women. There's no excuse. And I will keep saying this until we have the war, which means ever after. Okay, so what this decile does between Sedna and Aries. Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances, and Sedna means creation through dissection. So this is the moment in time when you can actually professionally do something about this whole mess that we have created and redo under drastically altered outward circumstances, Aries, something that is not working, and create a new structure out of the bits and pieces that may work, Sedna. And the whole thing is now our destiny, because the nodal axis is involved in this structure, and there's a biquintile from South Node to Sedna, showing how we can do it by actually tapping into the past. So that's what makes the Venus Jupiter opposition special, which after is not very special at all. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.